that our nation has made extraordinary progress in dealing with the issue of race. The other side can only win by convincing the people of this state that things are so bad that we need to return to a system of what really I think will be racism, and that we need to distribute jobs and college admissions and contracting to people on the basis of their favorite colors. We need to empower every government agency in the state of California to be able to discriminate. And there are 400 some cities in this state, 58 counties, I believe, 10 UC campuses, 23 or 22 state colleges, and a community college within shouting distance of every man, woman, and child in California. So this is not about getting an education for somebody. It's about who gets to go to the University of California at Berkeley, Los Angeles, and San Diego. The founders of our nation were very definite about building a country where individual merit would be used to award things to people on the basis of their performance. When I was in college many, many moons ago, I was an assistant to two of the top professors at Sac State, Dr. Thompson and Dr. Livingston, both of whom reminded me of that Gettysburg Address in which President Lincoln said that we are a nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. That concern about liberty, that concern about equality is just as real today as it was in 1863 when President Lincoln made that statement on the threshold of giving freedom, liberty to people who shared my melanin. And the issue that we're wrestling with now is whether the vision developed by the founders, reaffirmed in the 1960s when Martin Luther King talked about judging people by their character, content of their character, not the color of their skin. When President John F. Kennedy said that race has no place in American life or law. And we passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Over and over again, we reaffirmed the concept of equality. Now we know how fragile liberty can be. With a stroke of the pen, one person, the governor, can say, close your business tomorrow, stay home, don't go to church, wear a mask. I'm not quarreling necessarily with that. I'm simply pointing out that liberty is very, very fragile, and it can be taken away in a moment's notice. And so can equality. Now, why is equality important in my view? I was born in 1939 in the Deep South, the state of Louisiana. At my birth, there was a C on my birth certificate. That C didn't mean send this kid to the children's ward or send him to the C-section, it meant that I was colored. And as a colored child, the pattern of my life was predetermined. I had to live in separate neighborhoods. I had to go to segregated schools. I had to drink at certain water fountains. I had to go to certain bathrooms. I was told who I could and could not marry when I grew up. That C determined the fate of my life. My mother died when I was 4. My father and mother divorced when I was 2. And so one would say, this kid's going to have a rough time of it. But I really didn't, because I had a grandmother, I had an aunt and an uncle who said, you're going to make something of yourself. You're going to get an education, you're going to work hard, and you're going to treat other people the way you want to be treated. You're going to do everything that you can to be a good person. And they enforced that doctrine at the point of a belt to ensure that their concepts would be enforced. But I learned something about what it takes to build a civil society. And in a country such as ours, where people come here from all around the globe, different religions, different colors, different languages, just differences all over. We are a naturally diverse people. And when the government starts sorting us into different tribes and allocating jobs and college admissions on the basis of what they view as diversity, and they sort us all into about 4 primary groups, there are a lot of people who are left behind because they don't fit neatly into those boxes. And we are empowering our government to make decisions about our lives to discriminate against us on the basis of their concept of what constitutes diversity. And we have people that are marrying across lines of these pre-established lines of race. They're having children. Those children do not neatly fit into a box. And we want every person to work as hard as they can in this country. When they come here, we want them to try hard. And we want them to know that at the end of their race, the umpires are going to treat them fairly. They're going to have to apply to a single standard for everybody. And I have lived a good life. That C is no longer on my record, but the A is, and the A stands for American. And what I want is for all of my fellow Americans to have the same motivation, the same aspiration that I had. I'm not so presumptuous as to think I'm some king or something, but I can tell you from a first-hand experience that equality matters. Equality makes you know that you're welcome. It makes you know that you have ownership in this country. It makes you try harder. It makes you believe that there is a pot of gold at the rainbow. And we want that to be given to our kids, don't we?
Yep.
We want them to feel inspired to get up and do everything that they can to earn the American dream. And when our government starts saying we're going to allocate jobs and employment and contracts on the basis of race, they will give an opportunity to a few, but they will deny the chance to compete to a whole lot more. And we don't want that. And we made the decision in 1996 to embrace these 37 words that are now in our Constitution. Quote, the state, that's a small s, the state shall not discriminate against or grant preferential treatment to any individual or group on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin in the operation of public employment, public education, or public contracting. You don't need an interpreter to understand that. It is very, very clear, it's very direct. It's the light that should guide our path. When they say that, yeah, but Connerly, there's a lot of racism in America, I say, no, there really isn't. And if there is, why do you want to legalize racism by allowing the government to engage in it? You know, the thing that I'm most proud of in my life, as I look back, I can really say when I reached the pearly gates, I lived a colorblind life. I believe that every person on this planet was created by a maker just as I was. They have the same dreams and the same aspirations that I do. And when the father of my assistant, who is of Mexican origin, bought his wife a washing machine in 1997 and brought it home and went to use it, and it was malfunctioning. His son called me and said, Ward, we can't take it back because the owner of the store won't let us. Can you come down to help? My English was better than his, so I jumped in the car and I went down. And I learned something about discrimination. It can be on the basis of your language and how well you speak English or not. But regardless of the circumstance, it's wrong. And so I threatened to go to KCRA and KFBK and to raise the stink. And we prevailed. When I was walking across a parking lot with a very dear friend of Vietnamese descent, and I heard someone say to her, go back where you come from. That's racism. When I hear someone complain about white supremacy, you're condemning every white person there is when you say that. We cannot do that as a society. Not if we expect to have a civil society where we all get along, where we all try hard. We just can't do that. And it's in that spirit that 209 passed, and why I would promote it today with every fiber of my being. And that's why I'm opposed to Proposition 16, because it would take us back 200 years. It would make every person in this state question whether they are welcome. We're a very complex society, very diverse. And as I said, the only way that we can make this thing work, this experiment of democracy work, is to treat everybody fairly. Treat everybody as an equal. Our government can't do that always, but we can as individuals. And we can sure as hell make sure that our government does not have the legal right to discriminate, which is what Prop 16 would do.
No Prop 16!
No Prop 16!
No Prop 16!
So my friends, I thank you for coming today. I am enormously grateful to you for picking up the torch to carry it. Lance Azumi behind me was with me in the 209 campaign, and I know that he is as grateful as I am that the grassroots are sprouting, and they're saying no on Prop 16. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.